Groundwork is a community charity with a green heart. We put open spaces, green spaces, anything to do with the environment at the heart of the plans the local people have for regenerating their own neighbourhood. I'm Jan Phillips and I've worked for the last 3 years in mid-Cornwall helping communities with open space projects in the clay mining area around St Austell. Of the 16 projects that I've worked on fall into 4 main categories, those to do with access, those to do with heritage, growing space and sport and recreation. So this film looks at what has been achieved by some of those volunteers and residents who've put in an awful lot of hard work over 3 years with our support.
Hello, my name is Chris Teague. I'm trustee for the Friends of Luxillian Valley, a charitable organisation set up in 1996 for the preservation, protection, conservation of the Luxillian Valley, which is where we are today. The valley was designated a World Heritage Site in 2006. The Friends have long held a desire to refurbish this tramway after decades, if not hundreds of years of neglect. It became a very muddy, sticky path that no one could actually use as a walkway. We knew from excavation work that had been done previously that underneath this mud lay part of the valley's heritage. And it was important to expose this heritage for educational purposes to enlighten people as to what this route that we're standing on originally was used for, as well as giving everybody an easier path to walk through the Luxillian Valley. The tramway was quickly recognised by the Friends as a project worth investing in. We decided to put £10,000 of our own money into a pot to kickstart this project, but it soon became evident that this was not going to be enough. So we spoke to Jan Phillips from Groundwork and were able to form a partnership involving Groundwork and other beneficiaries that were going to benefit from the work done on the tramway. The final project was completed in 2012 at a cost of over £20,000, but it is hoped that this project will give many people many years of use and understanding of what this tramway formerly was.
My name is Roger Smith. I've lived in the area for many years and I've used this path for more years than I care to remember. The difference that this piece of work has done is absolutely fantastic. You used to have to walk through mud and worse still very slippery clay which put people off, but now you can use this any time of the year without any problems whatsoever.
One of the things that we do is respond to requests from community groups, from parish councils or from individuals who really want to make an improvement to an open space in their area, but they really don't know how to go about doing it.
I'm Sonia Klein from Park Community Association. We try and get the community working together and became involved back in February 2011 when there was a meeting down at Gott Hall with people concerned about disabled access to the beach, seating, which was of great concern to them.
Before we had seats here, people were complaining that they could come and park in the car park, but they couldn't get out because of mobility difficulties. We raised money for 5 seats and we chose the places to put them carefully, and it's really good to see people of all ages coming and sitting here and enjoying the sunshine and enjoying Par Beach.
And one of the things that Groundwork were able to do was to bring a whole group of disparate groups together to talk about the problems that we've got down on the beach. We were very fortunate that Groundwork was able to bring together the Park Community Association, Friends of Par Beach, the Parish Council, the Caravan Park, Park Leisure, and a whole raft of other people to all talk together, which was quite unusual. It had never been done before. And we then formulated a plan put together by Groundworks. From that, various projects have now been achieved.
Well, I think the great advantage to the Parish Council and to me as a Cornwall councillor has been that a professionally organised body has taken over the responsibility for coordinating and running the activity. And this is a tremendous asset to us as a council because although we are very keen and enthusiastic and hard-working, we don't have the skills and resources to coordinate and run major projects. And therefore, being able to turn to a group like Groundwork is a tremendous advantage to us. It allows us to get things done that wouldn't get them done effectively, and get them done on time.
Communities over the parishes have suffered somewhat from the gradual decline in the clay industry, which has affected the economic and social health of their various neighbourhoods.
The idea of Town to Tide came to me about 4 years ago when I became interested in teaching the children about the history of the place where they live. I believe very much that if people know about the history and geography of their community, they are more likely to respect that community and become involved in it. I wanted it to be very much an artistic and fun activity as well as an educational one, and I wanted to encourage disparate groups to take part. I also wanted young people to work with older people, which will help community cohesion.
All aboard for Mr. Eads Mystery Tour. Where will I take you? Who knows? Up boys, see the yachts. Down Bever, a bag of chips.
We were successful in getting a grant from the Heritage Lottery, which enabled us to work with a professional theatre group who would creatively interpret the project as a piece of promenade theatre. We followed the course of one of the tributaries of the Par River. We were able to use the Greenspaces in St Blaise for various venues, and Town to Tide itself had 6 different venues where events took place which showed the community and the environment over the centuries. Town to Tide has raised awareness in St Blaise about its history, and it's also enabled people who lived quite disparate lives at times to come together and gain confidence in themselves and also have a lot of fun. A lot of people have met up, made friends and remained friends as a result of Town to Tide, and there is a great wish in the community for Town to Tide to happen again. Town to Tide is essentially about a community's relationship with water over the centuries, and I hope that it will raise awareness of the relationship with water in the future as well, particularly as this is an area that is on a floodplain and is prone to flooding. Groundwork was heavily involved in the project management in its early stages, and as this was in some ways the most complicated time, I'm very grateful for their help.
Bearing in mind that most of the people who do these projects are either volunteers or they're hard-pressed parish clerks, some of the hard-to-measure benefits from an approach like this are things like people building their own self-confidence, getting experience with the different aspects of running a project, better communication amongst the groups in their parishes, and ultimately better community cohesion.
I'm Sarah Marsh, I'm the Growing Together project manager, and I've been involved in the Trevurban Community Garden and really just getting it started and bringing people together to transform the space. We were looking around at spaces that had potential for garden sharing and had a conversation with the headmaster at the local school who leased the land from the county council. It was very overgrown. It used to be a site for one of the school porter cabins. Being unused and unloved for many years, an area really that had a huge amount of potential. But we needed some money to help get the ball rolling, put some new fencing in, landscape it a bit, and that's how when we went to the Greenspaces worker for Groundwork, and they helped us get that funding in place. Since then, it's gone on from strength to strength. We did a couple of consultation days with some local people. Volunteers have come forward, local families have got involved, and that enthusiasm and energy that's come from the local people has really been the thing that's driven the transformation forward. As a result of that, other funders have seen what's happened, and we've got small pots of funding for doing various different things, getting a tool bank in, we've got a picnic table, we've got raised beds, we've got some funding for some fruit trees, edible hedgerow, and that's really as a result of the work that the local volunteers have put in.
It's just a chance for the family to get out together, take the kids along, do a bit of hard work, a bit of graft. It's good for the kids, and more importantly for me, I've made some great friends while we're here. People like Enid. We come along to the big lunch, played bowls together, just a chance to meet people I wouldn't ordinarily have met.
I came along at the beginning because I just really have pots and a patio. When it first started, I thought it would be a good idea for me to get over and get involved in a garden, but then it became more than that. It became a meeting place, place for good camaraderie and friendship, fresh air and exercise, and meeting people and speaking with people who pass my door that I wouldn't normally speak to. And I think from that, it's just been good.
It's amazing. I've really been impressed with the amount of community stuff that's been going on, the way they've come together and built this beautiful garden. You know, children involved, adults are involved, elderly people are involved, and it's rare that you see that sort of level of involvement in a garden.
They do look a little bit like tomatoes. Who likes radishes? Me. Yeah? Don't forget, it's a tiny little handful in the bottom. Brown and knobbly. It looks a little bit like a weird, tiny, minute monster. Yeah? Okay.
They're like orange and brown and
they are. They're quite different colours, aren't they? You don't expect that from seeds. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little handful and put it on top. We're going to press it down really gently. We're not going to squash it down. We're just going to press it down so that seed feels nice and comfy and secure.
You know, every single person that can be involved is involved. And I also like the fact that there's no sort of form filling. If you want to take something from the garden, if you want to get involved, you can just get involved. And that's great. That's really good.
The idea of extending the allotments was due to demand. We were getting people ringing up asking if we had any spare ones. So we thought we would inquire of Cornwall Council, as we already had some allotments at Crickabores, to see if they would transfer the rest of the land to us. It took quite a long time to organise, about 2 years in total, and we finally got the land.
My name is George Chamberlain. This is my allotment and I've had this since April. Garlic, onions, carrots, parsnips, swede, broccoli, runner beans. That's something I like doing. I don't eat half of this stuff. I don't like half of it. I do it for the family. I just like being out in the fresh air and doing things like this. Apart from the fact it keeps you healthy.
We really had no idea what we would need in the way of equipment, fencing, any regulations for allotments. So we decided to contact the Greenspaces project and get them involved. They were incredibly helpful, gave us ideas, talked through water harvesting, composting, securing the area, especially Jan Phillips, who was very helpful. Then obviously, once we knew what we wanted, we had to price up and then we had to start looking for funding, which again, Jan helped us greatly with getting our funding from the LAG.
I'm Gemma Davis. I've been on the waiting list for an allotment since I moved to the parish about 4 years ago. For me, it's more about, like George said, getting out in the fresh air, bringing the kids down and teaching them something about nature, and they're gaining a real sort of hands-on knowledge of how things grow and where their food comes from, and that's what it's all about for us.
We started in April. I've done that one, and this week I was a lot of this one. I got 2 sons, a daughter and 8 grandchildren, so everybody have a bit, like.
One particular measure of the success of the Greenspaces project is that I've been able to help communities raise something like £344,000 of LAG money, but also external funding from various sources to spend on their projects. We've found this really useful because it's meant that I can work with a lot of small projects without those project leaders having to worry about where they're going to find the money to pay for our support.
The park itself just had equipment that was suitable for under 5s just in one area, and the rest of the park was nothing there at all. It was because through the health and safety reasons bits and pieces got moved out and not replaced. It was like a chicken and the egg really. All the grant application forms were asking you how much you wanted to spend, and how do you know, because you don't know what you want there. So we realised we needed to get a plan drawn up. We got in touch with Groundworks. Jan helped us out to put people in places to be able to help us with the plan and the things like that there.
We gained £24,000 from the Clay Country Local Action Group, and also we got some additional funding from the National Lottery. In my role of business manager, I've managed to secure some additional funding acquired out of Jan's help, which I wouldn't have ever have applied for had I not have been involved in this project.
When we first started off, it would be nothing for broken bottles and beer cans to be found either here or within the local area. But actually I think that's been reduced because the teenagers have actually learnt to respect that if they want something, then they're going to have to show it respect, because otherwise there's people out there that aren't going to actually put it here for them.
What we really wanted in this park was the chat shack, or youth shelter, whichever you want to call it. And now we've successfully got one, and what a difference that's made. The lads have got the park, they got the play equipment, the girls, they wanted somewhere to sit. That's made it quite a difference really, and having the pathway put around and all the equipment. And social behaviour has gone down in the village because they've got somewhere to go now.
I definitely come here more often, and I've noticed that it's encouraged a lot more other people to come to the park, that they can get out on their bikes, roller boots, and not on a road or an estate, and it just provides them with somewhere where they can use their equipment in a safe environment.
My project has been 97% funded by something called the Clay Country Local Action Group, which channels money from Europe, which is designed for rural areas, down to the neighbourhoods that need it most.
I'm Jess Tyson, I'm one of the members of Lost in Play. We're kind of like a group of mums, part of the community, and we feel very passionately about the fact that we have very few facilities in Lostwithiel due to the state of our play parks. And so we're trying to raise funding and interest so that we can properly regenerate play parks so that Lostwithiel has a future legacy for future children.
We wanted to get Jan and the Groundwork team involved in Lost in Play project because we knew she had an awful lot of experience. I previously worked with Jan on the skate park project, which has now got all its funding in place. She has lots of experience, certainly in fundraising and advising on funding pots that are available, how to drive a project, how to keep the momentum going.
She's a very dynamic individual who is going to always add extra zhuzh to our projects, because obviously there are a lot of pitfalls when you're trying to raise money. And Jan is giving us lots of good advice as to where we can go, how we can do it, and where the problems are. And if you can alleviate those problems, then you get a much better result, which is where we're heading.
We knew that the communities had not really had a lot of benefit out of major grant funds, such as from the lottery, partly because they don't know how to access it, and partly because they just didn't have the advice to run their own projects.
My name's Chris Allen, and I'm the chairman of the Foxhall Recreational Ground Charity. The village was in desperate need of something for the older teenagers to play on. And as you can see by the people behind me, we've had a new ballpark put up. It took a lot of hard work. The grants and the filling out of the forms was all made easy, especially by Groundwork. You know, it's just been such an asset for the village. Nothing like this, certainly within a 3 or 4 mile radius. On a Saturday here when we got football, it's a pleasure to see people using it. You know, evenings, weekends, by older children, but it does also get used by younger children. But the other thing we're hoping to encourage is eventually we'll hold some Saturday morning coaching maybe for youngsters, and maybe get the school involved. Even the footballers, when they train during the winter, if it's too boggy down there, I know it's not the biggest maybe for a football team, but they can make use of it. And even the preschool, all this is made possible, and I can only encourage other people to go to places like Groundwork and ask for their advice, because there's money out there if you're willing to put the extra effort in to get the finances, and we've managed to produce something that we're really proud of.
Welcome to St Dennis Skate Park.
Within the parish plan there was a section for young people. The young people's biggest requirement when they were asked what they would like was the provision of a skate park.
It came about because the St Dennis Parish Council carried out a consultation with young people for their parish plan, and a skate park was one of the things that ticked a lot of boxes.
Obviously the main concern was where we were going to go raise all the money. Parish Council had a considerable sum set aside, but nowhere near enough to build the sort of facility that we wanted. We went into partnership with Groundwork, who acted as our partners in a bid to bid for awards for the balance of the grant.
I work very closely with the parish clerk to get designers involved, to collect the evidence from local people as to what kind of park they wanted. And we raised the funds, we got it through planning. It's been in now for just under a year and it's immensely popular. The young people here were desperate to get on it when it first opened, and within a month they were saying, can it be made bigger? The reports we've had from the police community support officers is since this park's been in, antisocial behaviour has really reduced considerably around the village. This is actually a magnificent achievement on the part of a small parish council to have a facility of this quality and this size in a community like this.
I think the whole social side of the skate park's pretty good. Like, you don't have to come down here and ride, you can come down here and just socialise with other people. But the skate park itself is like decent, one of the best skate parks in Cornwall by far.
The difference in my life is that I never used to have a social life, and I used to be like all curled up inside. When this has been built, I've met new people, and it's like really inspired me to come down even more.
The project would not have been completed without Groundwork, and it proved to be a very successful partnership.